All right. Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is your Akazaki Yahoo coming back at you with another video review. Shout out to all the brothers doing the work, the amazing work, the magnificent work, the work of the Most High. The kingdom cannot progress without brothers doing the work. Man, we need to be, we got to love each other. We have got to love each other. We have got to love each other. There has to be brotherly love amongst the brethren. We have got to love each other. That's what this lesson is teaching us here. That's why Yaak is bringing forth this particular lesson, because this teaches us you have got to love each other. Now, I know brothers will have doctoral differences when it comes to certain aspects of certain dialogues. Squash all that. Listen to the underlying message that is being brought forth. The underlying message is what is important, not the doctrinal differences. Yeah, there are differences in doctrine. Who cares? That does not matter. What does matter? It doesn't matter if you say Yahweh and I say Yahuwah. That doesn't matter. What does matter is we get to the finish line. And what this brother, one of my elders, is bringing out is that a lot of our people are going to come up short, not because of the law, statutes, and the commandments, not because of the belief in Mashiach, but because of the issue that have not been worked out of them. So let's get to the information real quick, real easy. One second here. One moment. All right, here we go. How y'all feeling out there? Good? All right. Ready for
spiritual meat?
Shabbat Shalom. All right, all right. We're going to get back into what I've been going through for a while, which is Revelation chapter 12. Anything y'all remember that stuck out from chapter 11, if y'all can remember? Nobody has any memories, comes in one ear and out the other? Anything from Revelation chapter 11 that you can remember? What happened to him? Who were they? Who did we establish they were? Okay. So we're gonna pick it up and we're gonna go through Revelation chapter 12 this week. So again, I want y'all to realize that this is going to be what is called the worst time in human history. Get me Daniel. chapter 12 and verse 1. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1.
This is Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1. Hey, brothers, y'all got to keep it down over there. Keep it down over there. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which stands for the children of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble.
A time of what?
A time of trouble.
So Daniel was looking ahead to this time. He says it's going to be a time of trouble. Read.
Such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time.
So he's letting you know that the time that's coming, it's going to be worse than anything that you've ever seen in human history. It's going to be worse than the flood was. It's going to be worse than Sodom and Gomorrah was, right? This is the time of trouble. Again, read that from the top again, Mark.
Verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which stands for the children of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time.
To that what?
To that same time.
To that same time. Now, our Savior went through a time of trouble. What happened to him in his time of trouble? Matter of fact, before the time of trouble came upon him. Anybody? He did what? He sweated blood. This is a condition, I forget the name of it, but it's something hydro. Oh, no, I forget the name of it, but it's an actual condition, and it comes from being under extreme stress. So it's basically like he was having an anxiety attack, but to the 1,000th power. Any of y'all suffer from anxiety? So he's known exactly what's about to take place to him, and this is what's happening in his body. So much that it caused him to sweat blood because he knew what he was about to go through, his time of trouble. So get me Luke chapter 22 and verse 14. And this is before anybody ever touched him. This is what he was feeling just thinking about it and knowing what was going to transpire because he was in his trouble. Read.
Luke 22 and verse 14. And when the hour was come, he sat down, and the 12 apostles with him. And he said unto them, with desire I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I say unto you, I will not any more eat thereof until it be fulfilled in the kingdom of Elohim.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Is that? One moment. Hold on one sec. Luke 22:44.
Luke 22 and verse 44. And being in an agony, he prayed more earnestly.
He was being in what?
Being in agony.
He was in agony. But guess what? Nobody has actually touched him at this point. This is him praying. So where's the agony coming from? The mind of just knowing what's happening. So when you find yourself in trouble, a lot of people going to have this same type of agony. Read.
He prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as it were great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And when he rose up from prayer, and was come to his disciples, he found them sleeping for sorrow.
which makes it even worse. He's going through the roughest point of his life, and his brothers is sleep on him. So this makes the trouble even worse. So let's go through this. Revelation chapter 12. It's a time of trouble such as never have been since the time that there was a nation. Give me Revelation chapter 11 and the last two verses. Revelation 11, the last two verses.
Revelation 11, verse 18. And the nations were angry, and your wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto your servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear your name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth.
Let's do what?
And shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth.
Read.
And the temple of Elohim was opened in heaven.
Where was it open at?
In heaven.
So they switched the scene from the earth back into the Shamayim. Read.
And there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. And there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail.
Read on.
Chapter 12 and verse 1.
So we see the scene is in heaven, but now they're going to show us another scene in Shamayim. Read.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven.
Where's it at?
In heaven.
A great wonder in heaven. Read.
A woman clothed with the sun.
Clothed with what?
The sun.
Read.
And the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
A crown of what?
12 stars.
A crown of 12 stars. Anybody, what does this represent? This woman clothed and this 12 stars and the moon under the feet. What does this mean? Okay. Get me Genesis 37 and verse 9. Matter of fact, pick it up at verse 6.
Genesis chapter 37 and verse 6. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it his brethren and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon.
The what?
The sun and the moon.
So right here he mentions the sun and the moon, just like Revelation is talking about. The sun and the moon. Read.
And the 11 stars.
And the what?
And the 11 stars.
And the 11 stars. With Joseph, if he add himself in, how many stars is it? It was 12. So these stars in Revelation chapter 12 is representation of the tribes of Israel. Finish that out.
And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me.
They did what?
Made obeisance to me.
They bowed to him. So let's go back to Revelation chapter 12 and verse 2.
Revelation chapter 12 and verse 2. And she being with child cried.
She being with what?
Child cried.
So she being with child cried. So why does a woman, a child, why does she cry? It's a straightforward question. It what? It labor pains, right? So in order to bring this life, you have to go through something, right? It's a physical pain that she's going through. Read that from verse 2 again.
Top of verse 2. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, And pain to be delivered.
And pain to be what?
Delivered.
And pain to be delivered. Hold that. Get me Genesis chapter 3, verse 16.
Genesis chapter 3 and verse 16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow.
I will do what?
Greatly multiply your sorrow.
Read.
And your conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to your husband.
So he's letting them know all the way from back here, in order to deliver this life, it has to go through tremendous pain in order to come into this world or to be delivered from it. Keep this in mind. Get me Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 1.
Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 1. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Yeshua, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame.
Endured the what?
Endured the cross, and despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of Elohim.
So him getting ready to be reborn into this new man, notice what he has to go through to get there. Same way with this lady with this birth pangs. It's painful to get into this new life. Keep that in mind. Again, get me Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 5. Yah is an expert. He uses metaphors a lot to get his point across.
This is Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 5. For thus saith Yahuwah, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child.
Whether a man do what?
Travail with child.
So he asks, what? Let's look at this man and see, do a man travail with child? We know a man can get pregnant. Now we know these crazy people out here talking about men having babies and all this foolishness, which is a woman who took some hormones and got a beard, but you're still a woman. So he's talking about the real thing. Can a man travail and have a baby? We know the answer to this. Read that again.
Verse 5. For thus saith Yahuwah, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins?
Hands where?
On his loins.
Every man's hands is on his loins. Read.
As a woman in travail.
As what?
A woman in travail.
So it looks like at this time that every man going to be holding himself like a woman that's about to get ready to have a baby. When your wife is in that room getting ready to bring forth that baby, what is she doing? How is that travail? How is the grabbing of the covers, the grabbing the man, hitting him? I hate you. You did. How is this? But remember, as soon as it's over with, all of it go away, right? My bundle is here. It was all worth it. So to get to this other side, yeah, you got to go through something. And as you're going to see, the most of the stuff that you're going through, you're going to actually be the one that put yourself in it. You could have took the epidural. I'm talking about on this side of it. We talking about on this side. We talking about the spiritual epiderm right here. However you say that thing. let's go. Read on.
Middle of verse, I started back at the top of verse 6. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble.
It is the time of what?
Jacob's trouble.
Wow, it's the time of Jacob's trouble. Who trouble is it again? Jacob's trouble. Now, I got to ask y'all a couple things. Why was Jacob in trouble in the first place? He was what? He was a trickster. Anything else? Why was Jacob in trouble in the first place? He did what? He took Esau's birthright. But what about when the people say, well, y'all already had that plan. That's what he was had to do that. Go ahead. He what? He had no love for his brother. But Esau was wicked though, right? So in order to avoid, you got something, Jake? All right. Let me know. So remember, if we don't know why, then you bound to make the same mistakes if you don't get it. So now we got to understand, why was Jacob in trouble in the first place? Get me Genesis chapter 25, verse 29. Genesis chapter 25. Verse 29.
Genesis chapter 25 and verse 29. And Jacob saw a pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint.
He was what?
He was faint.
So Jacob was cooking this nice, meaty beef stew. It wasn't done all the way. And his brother, no, it's lentils. For real, it's lentils. Read on.
And Jacob saw pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage.
So his brother just comes out of the field. He's hungry. He's so hungry that he feels that he's about to die. Surely his brother just gives him some of the food, right? Ain't that what you would do with your brothers? Feed them, right? Read.
For I am faint, therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this day your birthright.
Do what?
Sell me this day your birthright.
Wait a minute. I don't just feed you. I say, sell me your 69 Cadillac. Wait a minute. So instead of just giving them some food, he makes a proposition, a business thing with them. Do that seem right? I don't seem right, right? I know what the camps will say, that he was wicked, so y'all already had it planned. No. Read.
And Jacob said, sell me this day your birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way.
So were they enemies at this time right here? They wasn't enemies right here, right? Okay. Get me Proverbs. Get me Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 21.
Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 21. If thine enemy be hungry.
If your what?
If thine enemy be hungry.
So this says, if your enemy be hungry, read.
Give him bread to eat.
Do what?
Give him bread to eat.
Wait a minute. Make him sell you your birthright.
Give him bread to eat.
If they wasn't enemies, they were brothers, right? Read on.
Give him bread to eat, and if he be thirsty, give him water to drink.
Do what to him?
Give him water to drink.
So if your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he thirsty, give him water to drink. Read.
For thou shalt heap coals of fire upon his head, and Yahuwah shall reward thee.
Who gonna reward you?
Yahuwah
and
shall reward thee.
Gonna reward you. So this wasn't his enemy. This was his brother that he is doing horribly. And this is before Esau went off and became the wicked. This is before he turns into this wicked person that he later becomes.
That's deep. You bring that out because technically, by what the scripture described, he was actually righteous. He was Isaac's favorite.
Absolutely.
So, and Isaac was definitely a righteous man. So that's often ignored because unfortunately people want to promote Jacob and his importance, and of course his transition to becoming Israel and us being the descendants. But it's important to point out other righteous people as well. This is the book for the righteous.
Absolutely. So here he's treating him worse than an enemy because the book is directly saying, if it's your enemy, to feed him. Get me Romans chapter 12 and verse 10.
Romans. This is Romans chapter 12 and verse 10. Be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love.
With what?
With brotherly love.
Be kindly affectionate to each other with what?
Brotherly love.
With brotherly love. So it says that this time is called Jacob's what?
Trouble.
Jacob's trouble. There's a congregation out of the 7 congregations. The one is called Philadelphia, right? What don't Philadelphia go through? Why don't they go through it? They got what? They got brotherly love. So here's a hint for you. When the tribulation comes, if you are always busy fighting and arguing and backbiting and always into it with your brother, guess what you are putting yourself in? In Jacob's trouble. You are doing it to yourself. Now we know all of the churches say that they Philadelphia, but you can't tell. Even amongst believers, it's very rare that you see true brotherly love. It don't happen that often. So the reason why this group makes it because they have brotherly love. Jacob is showing that he didn't have it, and this is the reason that he is in trouble. So this is our forefather. If you got the same thing in you that he had in him, you're going to be in trouble. Genesis chapter 27, verse 11.
This is Genesis chapter 27 and verse 11. And Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, behold, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will fill me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver.
As a what?
As a deceiver.
What was he actually? He said, I shall be as a deceiver, but what was he really? He was a deceiver. All of this stuff is the reason that he's in trouble. This is our forefather. If we do continue in this, you're going to be in trouble. Read.
And I shall bring a curse upon me.
I shall do what?
Bring a curse upon me.
So your actions that you do can bring what on you?
Curse.
A curse on you. The famous chapter that all Israelites love. What chapter is it?
27.
Deuteronomy 28, right? What do it talk about? The curses. If you don't do what I tell you, you're going to get this. So your own actions will put a curse on you. Jacob is saying it. The book says that every idle word that men shall speak, it shall what? He going to give an account of it in the day of judgment. You said it out your own mouth before you did it. If I do this, I'm going to be a deceiver. Your own words testify against you. Read.
I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, upon me be your curse.
How can she say, I'm going to take it? You can't do that. You can't take nobody else's curse or they sin. Put it on me. You can't do that. Read.
My son, only obey my voice and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands.
What are they working right here? Deception, iniquity. Him and his mama right here. This is wicked right here. I know they're going to be so mad, because you don't accept it for what it is. Now we know that Jacob became a righteous man. Right here, he is not. Read.
And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son, Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her youngest son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread, which she had prepared, into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father and said, my father. And he said, here am I. Who art thou, my son?
He said, what?
Who art thou, my son?
So his daddy asked him a question. Who is this? Who are you? Read.
And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, your firstborn.
I am who?
Esau, your firstborn.
Is this the lie or this the truth? This is a lie. This is wicked. Again, don't let no camps come in and trick you with the foolishness. When you can read it and see it for yourself, this is dishonesty. This is a lie. Read.
I have done according as thou badest me.
I didn't tell you that. I said for Esau to get that. Read.
Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me.
Was this really venison?
No.
So this ain't even the real meat that I asked for. I asked for venison. You went out and got something from the flock.
Yes.
This is a lie. Read.
Verse 20. And Isaac said unto his son, how is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son?
Boy, you hunt so fast. You broke a record. You ain't even have to barely go to the woods. You got this meat super fast. How did you do that? Read.
And he said, because Yahuwah your Elohim brought it to me.
Wait a minute. He just put Yah in it. You just lied on Yah himself and said Yah gave it to you. Unless Rebecca is Yah, you lying. Again, we got to take it for what it say. Read.
And Isaac said unto Jacob, come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau
That
or
I may
not.
that I may what?
Be my very son Esau or not.
He said, come that I may feel you. Jacob, before he said, what kind of man was he? I'm a smooth man. I'm Billy D. Williams. I'm smooth. So his daddy said, something ain't right. Come here, boy. Let me touch your hands. Read on.
And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him and said, the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau.
Oh, wait a minute. You put that goat hair on your hand. This is trickery. This is deception. If we just look at it for what it is. Read.
And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, as his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him, and he said, art thou my very son Esau?
Are you who?
My very son Esau?
Are you my very son Esau? Let's see if he tell the truth and say, no, I'm Jacob. Read.
And he said, I am. And he said, bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank.
He brought him what?
Wine, and he drank.
So he brought him wine. Well, I ain't gonna mess with the wine yet, but yeah, I can't. I'm gonna stay away from the line. Read on.
And his father Isaac said unto him, come near now and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed him and said, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which Yahuwah hath blessed. Therefore Elohim give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine.
And plenty of what?
Corn and wine.
Plenty of corn and wow. Wow. So he has just stolen something that don't belong to him for real. And he got it by hook and by crook. So we can understand why Jacob got in trouble. Examine your own life and see, are you doing any of these type of things in any way, shape, or form? Being Jacob, if you are, you better quit, because you're going to put yourself in Jacob's trouble. All right? I want you to keep it in mind. What verse you at, Doc?
Verse 29.
Okay, we good there. Give me Revelation chapter 12 and verse 3. So this is why Jacob was in trouble in the first place. This is why it's called Jacob's trouble. We want to avoid Jacob's trouble.
This is Revelation chapter 12 and verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven.
So now it switches back to heaven again. It's talking about this great red dragon. Who's this great red dragon? Satan, right? Remember, I asked straightforward questions, no tricks to it. This is Satan, right? So let's look at something. Hold that. Get me Job chapter 41, verse 1. Job 41, verse 1.
This is Job chapter 41 and verse 1. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put an hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee?
Who is this right here? Who is this thing that is talking about right here? Read that from the top again.
Verse 1. Canst thou draw out Leviathan?
Can you draw out who?
Leviathan.
Who is this? Who are we reading about in Revelation? The dragon. In Revelation chapter 13, it says, I saw a beast come up out of the water, right? And then it says, I saw another beast come up out of the land. If we read these two chapters, there's two beasts in here. One is called Leviathan and one is called Behemoth. One comes from the land and one comes from the water. So who is this? Revelation just says, I saw a beast with 7 heads and 7 this, that, and the thirds. And who was that talking about? The red dragon. We just said it a minute ago who it was talking about. Satan. Satan and Leviathan is one and the same. It's the same being. Read on.
I'm going to start back at verse 1. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put an hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with the thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee?
Will he make what?
Many supplications unto thee.
So this thing can make supplications. So it's not a real quote unquote this, but it's an actual, you're going to see, read.
Will he speak soft words unto thee?
So this thing can speak. Read.
Will he make a covenant with thee?
He make covenants with people. But we not supposed to make covenants with nobody, right? Read.
Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird? Or wilt thou bind him for your maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him. Remember the battle. Do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him?
So read that verse again.
Verse 9. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him?
It says that this thing is so fierce that you should be so afraid that you should cast down just at the sight of it. Right? And this is talking about Satan. So you should fall at his sight just seeing him. Verse 10.
Verse 10. None is so fierce that dare stir him up.
He said, none is so fierce that dare do what?
Stir him up.
So you don't want to stir him up. Read.
Who then is able to stand before me?
So Yah's letting you know how bad this guy is and turning right back around and saying, if you can't do nothing with him, what you think you can do with me? This is what he's getting across right here. But to show you just how bad this guy really, really is, because a lot of people, slap the devil. No, you won't. No, you won't. He will destroy you. This is what Yah is getting across, that this guy will tear you limb from limb. You can't do nothing with him without me, because he's a supernatural being. So don't get it twisted. He is very, very powerful, but he can't do nothing to you if you got Yah with you. But you can't do nothing with him on your own. All right? So keep this in mind. Hold on 1 second. Get me Psalms 74, verse 1. How many heads does it say that Satan have? 7, right? Read this.
Psalm 74, verse 1. O Elohim, why hast thou cast us off forever? Why do thine anger smoke against the sheep of your pasture? Remember your congregation, which thou hast purchased of old, the rod of thine inheritance, which thou hast redeemed, this Mount Zion, wherein thou hast dwelt. Lift up your feet unto the perpetual desolations, even all that the enemy have done wickedly in the sanctuary. Thine enemies roar in the midst of your congregations. They set up their ensigns for signs. A man was famous according as he had lifted up axes upon the thick trees. But now they break down the carved work thereof at once with axes and hammers.
What's the carved work? Idols, it's idolatry. Read on.
They have cast fire into your sanctuary. They have defiled by casting down the dwelling place of your name to the ground. They said in their hearts, let us destroy them together.
Let us do what?
Destroy them together.
Read.
They have burned up all the synagogues of Elohim in the land. We see not our signs. There is no more any prophet, neither is there among us any that knoweth how long. O Elohim, how long shall the adversary reproach? Shall the enemy blaspheme your name forever?
Shall the what?
Shall the enemy blaspheme your name forever?
So remember in Revelations it says that he was given a mouth speaking great blasphemous things against Yah, right? He's talking about the enemy, but it's directly talking about Satan and his minions. Read on.
Verse 11. Why withdrawest thou your hand, even your right hand? Pluck it out of your bosom. For Elohim is my king of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. Thou didst divide the sea by your strength. Thou breakest the heads of the dragons in the waters.
I'll do what?
Thou breakest the heads of the dragons in the waters.
So now it says thou breakest the heads or head.
Thou breakest the heads of the dragons in the waters.
Notice it's multiple heads. Read on.
Thou breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces.
So Leviathan has what? Multiple heads, just like we read in Revelation, right? Because it's the same being. Read that verse again.
I'll start at verse 13. Thou dividest the sea, thou didst divide the sea by your strength. Thou breakest the heads of the dragons in the waters. Thou breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces.
And what?
In pieces.
Breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces. It's showing again that he has multiple heads, just like the beast in Revelation. It's the same exact thing. Give me Matthew chapter 24, verse 13.
Matthew chapter 24 and verse 13. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come.
Then shall what?
The end come.
What verse you at?
I'm at verse 15 now.
Read.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place.
Stand in where?
The holy place.
Stand in the holy place. This is what it was just talking about, the carved images being broken down. It's the same thing. When you see this, read that again.
When ye therefore see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel, the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso reads, let him understand.
Whoso read this, let him understand. Get Isaiah 26, verse 16.
This is Isaiah 26 and verse 16. Yahuwah, in trouble have they visited thee.
And what?
In trouble have they visited thee.
There we go with that word again. In trouble have they visited thee. Read.
They poured out a prayer when thy chastening was upon them, like as a woman with child.
Like as a woman with what?
Like as a woman with child.
It's the same metaphor. Read.
That draweth near the time of her delivery, is in pain and cries out in her pangs. So have we been in your sight, O Yahuwah. We have been with child. We have been in pain. We have, as it were, brought forth wind. We have not wrought any deliverance in the earth, neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. Your dead men shall live. Together with my body, my dead body shall they arise.
So this is him referring to the time when he came out of the tomb and the people got up out the graves with him. But he gonna switch it all the way to the future in a second. Read.
Awake and sing, ye that dwell in dust, for your dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. Come, my people, enter thou into your chambers.
Do what?
Enter thou into your chambers.
He says, come, my people, enter now into your chambers. We're going to see who these people really are. They're going to escape the trouble that's coming. Read.
And shut thy doors about thee.
And do what?
Shut thy doors about thee.
Read.
Hide thyself as it were for a little moment.
Hide thyself for what?
As it were for a little moment.
Why are these people hiding themselves? Why is he telling them to go inside into safety and hide yourself as it were for a little moment? Can we think of anything else where people had to go in somewhere? Where? You saying Exodus? What are you referring to? Passover. That's what we're looking for. Same exact thing. It all plays out over and over and over again. If you didn't go in that house and you didn't put that on the doorpost, what happened to you? You died. Comes with obedience, right? So here he's telling them the exact same thing. Read that again.
Verse 20. Come, my people, enter thou into your chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed.
Until it be what?
The indignation be overpassed.
So he switched it over here to until the indignation be overpassed. But back in Exodus, it says until it pass over. It's the same exact thing that's going to take place again, with showing you what time of year that this will take place in. What verse you at right here?
I'm at verse 21.
Read.
For behold, Yahuwah cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity.
It's pointing you directly to the time. It says Yahuwah do what?
For behold, Yahuwah cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth.
Go ahead.
The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain.
And so no more what?
Cover her slain.
Cover her slain. So it's letting you know that he's got to come out of his place. We know that this is in Shamayim. Go to chapter 27 and verse 1.
27 and verse 1. In that day, Yahuwah with his sword and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan.
He shall punish who?
Leviathan.
Leviathan is the same beast, the same 7-head beast. Leviathan is Satan. It's the same exact beast that it's talking about. All right. Get me Revelation chapter 12 and verse 5.
Leviathan, the piercing serpent.
My bad. Good. The what type of serpent?
The piercing serpent.
The piercing serpent. Oh, somebody got their hands and feet pierced. But Revelation chapter 12, verse 5.
So that does that mean, like in that 26, does that mean that the dead and Mashiach will rise first and then the tribulation will come? Because he's telling them to rise up out of the earth and then hide themselves till the trouble be overpassed.
We're going to see it's about to actually explain who he's talking about.
Will you say Revelation 12 and verse 5?
Uh-huh.
And she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations.
She brought forth who?
A man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron.
Now, a couple of weeks or maybe a month or so ago, we discovered who this man child is. Do y'all remember? Who is this man child? Or did y'all forget as usual? Who is this man child right here that's being born? Who is it? Nope, it's not him. This is what's always taught, that this is talking about Mashiach, but Revelation is future from where he is at. It's talking about Israel, but it's only a certain group in Israel. Not even just saints. We're going to see exactly who it is. Read that again.
Verse 5, and she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Elohim.
And he was what?
Caught up unto Elohim.
So I want you to ask yourself, when Mashiach was born, was he caught up to Yah? He wasn't. Where did Mashiach go? Because it was a serpent type of man trying to kill him when he was born. He went to Egypt. He wasn't caught up to Yah. So this is not talking about him. This is talking about this group. We're going to see who it is. Read that from the top one more time, Mark.
Verse 5, and she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron.
With a what?
With a rod of iron.
With a rod of iron. So this man child, let's see who it is. We went over this, but y'all forgot. Revelation chapter 2, verse 26.
Revelation.
So hold on. Remember, Matthew says, when he says, blessed is the man that endures to the end, the same shall be saved, right? So it's a group of people that's going to be called something over here, over and over and over again. Read.
And he that overcomes and keeps my...
He that does what?
Overcomes.
So if you overcome, what did you do? You endured, right? So it says, he that overcomes, this is who it's talking about. Read.
And keeps my works unto the end. To him will I give power over the nations.
To him will I do what?
Give power over the nations.
So it's talking about this people. Whoever overcomes will I give power. Whoever it is that overcomes, I'm going to give power to do what? Read.
And he shall rule them with a rod of iron.
Notice this is Mashiach speaking. He says, and he, not talking about himself. And according to Daniel, it says that it's going to be a whole bunch of people that reigns with him. This is the group that is speaking about, the overcomers. Read.
As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my father.
Even what?
As I received of my father.
Even as I received of my father. So it's a group called the overcomers. What verse you at?
Verse 28.
Read.
And I will give him the morning star. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches.
Unto who?
Unto the churches.
Unto the churches. Give me Revelation chapter 12 and verse 10. It's a group called the overcomers.
There's Revelation chapter 12 and verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim, and the power of his anointed. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night.
How long?
Day and night.
So day and night he was accusing. Read.
And they overcame him by the blood of
And
the
they
Lamb.
did what?
They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
So this group that is speaking about are the overcomers. These are the people that endured until the end. They are the overcomers that made it through. Get me Revelation chapter 2, verse 7.
Revelation chapter 2 and verse 7. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcomes will I...
To him that do what?
Overcomes.
There you go again. To him that overcomes. Read.
Will I give to eat of the tree of life.
To the tree of what?
To the tree of life.
This means that these people have made it into the kingdom because they overcame. Verse 11.
Verse 11. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcomes shall not be hurt of the second death.
He that do what?
Overcome.
So again, it's these people that overcome. Verse 17.
Verse 17. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcome will I give to eat of the hidden manna.
Of the what manna?
Of the hidden manna.
Of the hidden manna. Again, it's the overcomer. Revelation chapter 3 and verse 5.
Revelation 3 and verse 5. He that overcome, the same shall be clothed in white raiment. And I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels.
I will confess his name where?
Before my Father and before his angels.
So this is this group. Verse 12.
Verse 12. Him that overcome will I make a pillar in the temple of my Elohim, and he shall go no more out.
So notice where it says he's gonna be a pillar at. Read that again.
Verse 12. Him that overcome will I make a pillar in the temple of my Elohim.
In the temple. So where would you be at? You would be in Yah's presence if you overcome. So this group, we're going to find that they had something that other people don't have, and they were not in trouble. What verse you were right there?
Still in the middle of verse 12.
We'll finish that out.
And he shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my Elohim, and the name of the city of my Elohim, which is New Jerusalem.
Which is what?
Which is New Jerusalem.
Which is New Jerusalem. So he says, hold on, read that verse again.
Top of verse 12. Him that overcome will I make a pillar in the temple of my Elohim, and he shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my Elohim, and the name of the city of my Elohim, which is New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my Elohim, and I will write upon him my new name.
I will do what?
Write upon him my new name.
I will write upon him my new name. I want y'all to go back and think about Jacob when he was running from Laban. Laban name means white. He's running from Laban from what he was doing because he was in trouble with him. But in front of him, he was in trouble with Esau. Esau was waiting on him with 400 men. When he got to Jacob, and this is where he wrestles with the angel, right? What did the angel, this was Mashiach, what did he ask Jacob? He asked him what? What is your name? Why did he ask him that? He did what? He lied to his blood daddy. Right here, he's asking him his name. So why did he ask him his name? Because he lied the first time. And I want to see if you're going to lie to me the same way you lied to him. So when Jacob admitted that he was Jacob, what was he really doing right there? He's telling the truth, but what is he actually doing? He was getting this because that's right after that he says, I'm not going to let you go unless you bless me, right? But you already stole a blessing from Esau. So what do you need another one? Oh, you didn't really get it. But right here, that last verse it says, and I will write upon him my new name. Right after he confessed that his name is Jacob, which means he's a swindler and a no good guy, what did Jacob turn around and ask him for? Jacob asked him his name, and then what does Jacob ask him? He asked him, what is your name? Right here, Revelation says, I'm going to write upon you what?
My new name.
My new name. All go together because we going to want to get the new name. That's why he asked him that, because it's always pointing all the way over here. Every bit of everything that they saying has meaning to it. So he's going to ask him the same thing. And over here, if you overcome, just like Jacob overcame himself and got the name, we're going to get the name if you overcome, because you will be a pillar in his temple. You'll eat the hidden manna. You'll have the right to the tree of life. Jacob did this. And guess what? If Jacob had lied, what would have happened to him? He would have died. Esau would have killed him. Because now his ways are pleasing to Yah. When a man's ways please Yah, even his. So if you don't overcome yourself and who you are, you're going to be in trouble. And right here, Jacob's name was no longer Jacob. It was what? Israel, meaning I have power with man. I'm a prince, and I have power with man and with Elohim. You got to stop being Jacob. You got to become Israel. The longer you become Jacob, you're going to be in trouble. This is why he changed his name, and we have to stop being Jake, and we got to be Israel and overcome it. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble. Jump down to verse 31.
Verse 21.
Yeah, check 21, see what that's.
Verse 21. To him that overcome will I grant to sit with me in my throne.
Sit where?
In my throne.
This is the greatest honor. He says, if you overcome, I'm going to let you sit where?
In my throne.
In my throne. He didn't say at my foot. He didn't say over here. He said, in my throne, if you overcome. And the person that you got to overcome is you. Remember, I am pride. I am you. When you overcome you, the wicked, you'll get in and you will be sitting in his throne with him. This is why he says that he gonna rule the nations with a rod of iron, because he's overcome. Again, this is going to only be a small group of people, because most people is not going to overcome themselves. Revelation chapter 21, verse 7.
Revelation chapter 21 and verse 7. He that overcomes shall inherit all things.
So inherit what?
All things.
All things. Read.
And I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars.
So he said, read that from the top again right there.
But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers.
And who?
And murderers.
And murderers. But he says, if you hate your brother in your heart, what are you?
Murderer.
That means you don't have a brotherly love. That means you don't belong to Philadelphia, right? That means you're going to be in trouble. So even if you don't physically do it, if you got it in your heart, you still considered a murderer. So he's letting you know that the murderer don't make it. That go with the spirit of the law. Read that verse one more time.
But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars.
And all who?
All liars.
All liars. Read.
Shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone.
With fire and brimstone.
Which is the second death.
Which is what death?
The second death.
Which is the second death. Revelation chapter 12, verse 6.
Revelation chapter 12 and verse 6. And the woman fled into the wilderness.
She went where?
Fled into the wilderness.
So the woman has fled into the wilderness. Somewhere out in Rome. She's fled into the wilderness in Rome. Read on.
Where she hath a place prepared of Elohim, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
How long?
1,260 days.
Which equals up to what? 3.5 years or 42 months. How many chapters in the book of Job? Anybody know? Say it.
42.
It's 42. Do y'all know what Job book is really about? Is what you say, Mel? A test for who? So the book of Job has 42 chapters in it. We're going to see it's 3 groups that's going to be separated. One group that goes up into the Shamayim and is away from the stuff. One group in the wilderness that's protected, and another group that has to fend for itself. Job is a very, very righteous man, but he had something in him that y'all had to get out. What was it? Pride. Now, most people can't see it, and they be really, really mad when I say this. No, right here, it says Job was perfect and upright. We're going to get it from Job's own mouth. How about that? If we get it from Job's own mouth, will you then accept it? Let's see. Hold that. Get me Job chapter 29 and pick it up at verse 8. And y'all stop when something familiar starts to jump out to your head. Hold your hand up when something odd jumps out when you start reading.
This is Job chapter 29 and verse 8. The young men saw me and hid themselves, and the aged arose and stood up. The princes refrained talking and laid their hand on their mouth. The nobles held their peace, and their tongue cleaved to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard me, then it blessed me. And when the eye saw me, it gave witness to me, because I delivered the poor that cried.
Hold on, read that again.
Because I delivered the poor that cried.
Read.
And the fatherless, and him that had none to help him. The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart.
And I did what?
I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy.
Y'all don't catch nothing yet? Read on. What? Hold on. What is he doing? He got the eye problem. Read on. Read it again.
I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My judgment was as a robe and a diadem.
Diadem. That's a crown. Read.
I was eyes to the blind, and feet was I to them to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and the cause which I knew not I searched out. I break the jaws of the wicked, and plucked the spoil out of his teeth. Then I said, I shall die in my nest, and I shall multiply my days as the sand. My root was spread out by the waters.
So I want you to see he's keep using the I word, right? Now let's go to the next chapter, verse 1. Now you won't catch it unless you do it in comparison to Mashiach. Read.
This is Job 30 and verse 1. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock.
Wait a minute. What does that mean? Anybody, what does that mean, what he just said? Read it again.
Oh, I was going to tell you. Oh, I'll read it again. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to
He
have
said, whose fathers I would have what?
disdained.
What does that mean? Whose fathers I would have disdained. I can't hear y'all. Is this a good word? Job says, whose fathers I would have disdained. Read.
To have set with the dogs of my flock.
So Job right here is saying that I wouldn't have even I wouldn't have had y'all daddies sit with my dogs. Does that sound anything like Mashiach?
No.
What did Mashiach do with the sinners and the publicans?
He sat with them.
Didn't they not come and eat with them? That sound right to you, Art? Yeah. So as you can see, he had the thing in him. He was looking down on them people. So even though he was feeding all these people and saying, I did this and I did this, it was for the wrong reasons. It was, you see, look at me. I did this and I did this and I did this. And then at the day he says that perhaps I'm going to make a sacrifice for my children because they might have sinned. But why didn't he make one for himself? Every year for the Day of Atonement, what did the high priest do? He made one for himself. Job don't make one for himself. Why? He thought he was perfect. He thought he was the guy. He was full of it. And everybody that go through it, you're going to see you got the same thing in you. And the reason why y'all going to let you go through it, because he got to get this out of you. We was in the wilderness for 40 years to get out what? The pride. It's the same thing over and over and over and over again. So we can see flat out, Job made this statement himself. I wouldn't even let y'all sit with the dogs. I wouldn't even let my dogs eat with them. That's his own words. So Job is a picture of the tribulation. And when do Job get out of trouble? When his what? When his heart changed, when Yah came to him and started talking to him. Where was you at when I built this? Where was you at when I bound up the winds and I did this, that, and the third? Talking to him rough, slapping him around. Where was you at when I did this, that, and the third? And then Job humbled himself. And as soon as he humbled himself and came down off of the high horse, he got out of trouble. This is the same thing. If you don't do this, you're going to remain in the trouble. If he would have did it all the way in the beginning, he wouldn't have went through it this long. Same thing. And notice, Satan himself is involved in this. So now he's going to be on the ground. So keep this in mind. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 12, verse 6 again.
Revelation chapter 12 and verse 6. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of Elohim, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
So notice, one group is caught up to heaven away from the serpent, and this group is took somewhere in the wilderness and to be fed for 1,300 something days. 3.5 years or 42 months. So we got two groups so far, right? Keep this in mind. Read.
And there was war in heaven.
War at where?
In heaven.
Jump down to verse 10.
Verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of his anointed. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night.
So where is he cast down to? He's on the earth now. Just like he was going back and forth in the book of Job, right? He says, where are you coming from? I just came from the earth. He was wreaking havoc. Here, he's cast down on the earth. Now he won't be able to do what he was doing in the book of Job. He can no longer go back and tell Yah anything. Now he flat out is on the earth at this time when this takes place. Read.
Verse 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens.
Rejoice where?
Ye heavens.
Okay, the heavens rejoice, but what else?
And ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth.
Woe to who?
The inhabitants of the earth.
Why is it woe to the inhabitants of the earth? Because that God that it was talking about in Psalm 74 with the 7 heads is on the earth. And remember, he told you, you can't do nothing with him. Remember, he told you directly, that was Yah talking about him. You can't do nothing with him. Right? Read.
For the devil is come down unto you.
Having what?
Having great wrath.
Having what?
Great wrath.
He have great wrath. Read.
Because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
He ain't got but a short time. How long is the short time? That 3.5 years, the final 3.5 years, he got a short time. So remember, it's two groups. The one going into the wilderness, one was caught up to Yah, but it's a third group. Jump down to verse 17.
Verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
With who?
With the remnant of her seed.
With the what of her seed?
The remnant of her seed.
Read. What does the remnant do? Read.
Which keep the commandments of Elohim.
Which do what?
Keep the commandments of Elohim.
So this remnant keeps the commandment of Elohim. Read.
And have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach.
And they got the testimony of Mashiach. So why ain't they protected? Why ain't they in the group that was taken up? Because it clearly states that they keep the commandments and they have the testimony. They got that thing inside of them as well. Job, because it told us directly that Job was what type of a man? Perfect and upright, one that eschewed evil. But we see Job was doing something not with a pure heart. So it's showing you that these people, even though they keep the law, statutes, and the commandments, they still in trouble. Read verse 17 again.
Verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Elohim and have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach.
So again, we see it's 3 groups. It's all split up. We got to find out why it's split up. We kind of see it already, but we're going to figure it out. Isaiah 66, verse 5. So we're going to figure out this first group that was caught up, who they really are.
This is
Isaiah 66, verse 5.
Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 5. Hear the word of Yahuwah, ye that tremble at his word, your brethren that hated you, that cast you out for my name's sake, said, let Yahuwah be glorified, but he shall appear to your joy, and they shall be ashamed. A voice of noise from the city, a voice from the temple, a voice of Yahuwah that rendereth recompense to his enemies. Before she travailed, she brought forth.
Before she what?
Before she travailed, she brought forth.
So before the tribulation, what happened?
She brought forth.
She brought forth. Notice that it was this group in verse 2 and verse 3 that was caught up to heaven before the serpent can get to it. This is the same group that is talking about. Let's narrow it down so we can figure out exactly who this group is that's doing this. Right? Get me Revelation chapter 7. Revelation chapter 7 and verse 9.
Revelation chapter 7 and verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne.
Stood before where?
The throne.
Stood before the throne. But we know before this, it was a special group that was there. Who is the special group that was there before these people? They're called the 144,000. The elect. They were caught up. They had that thing inside of them that rarely people have, which is brotherly love. They had it inside of them. Read verse 10.
Verse 10. And cried with a loud voice, saying, salvation to our Elohim, which sits upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne.
Round about where?
The throne.
Round about the throne. Revelation chapter 14, verse 1 and 2.
Revelation 14, verses 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000.
How many people with him?
144,000.
So the 144,000 is standing with him. This is the first group that skates through without being hurt or harmed. Read.
Having his father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters.
So again, we see this group has made it into the thing, and they are now with Mashiach getting ready to fight with him. Get James chapter 1, verse 18. James 1 and 18.
James chapter 1, verse 18. This charge I commit unto thee, son Timothy, according to the prophecies which went before on thee, that thou by them mightest war a good warfare. Oh,
I'm about to say that's another James.
Somebody need to hear that.
James 1 and 18. First James 1 and 18.
James chapter 1, verse 18. Of his own will begat he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures.
We should be what?
A kind of first fruits of his creatures.
So right here, he's letting you know that this 144,000 is the first fruits that's going to make it. So after them, there's another larger group, and then there's another group. It's 3 groups in all in this. So we got to figure it out. So we see that this group is the 144,000. Revelation chapter 12, verse 13. So we got the group that's taken up.
This is Revelation chapter 12 and verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And to the woman were given 2 eagles, 2 wings of a great eagle.
So he persecuted the woman that brought forth the man-child. That's the 144,000 that escaped into heaven. Read that again.
And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child.
Read.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness.
That she might what?
Fly into the wilderness.
So we see one group is taken up, one group is going into the wilderness to be protected. Read.
Into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time.
Read.
From the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman.
It did what to the woman?
The earth helped the woman.
Read.
And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
With the who?
With the remnant of her seed.
So again, we have 3 groups. The first group is taken up, one group is taken into the wilderness, and then there's another group that has to fend for itself. Why is it 3 groups? Think back to Jacob. Why is it 3 groups? Y'all get the bonus points. Come on, you can do it. Think back. 3 groups. Think back to Jacob. Let's go back. Come on now. Come on now. Let's go back. Genesis 33. Hold on one sec. Give me Genesis chapter 33, verse 1 and 2.
This is Genesis chapter 33 and verse 1. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men.
How many men?
400 men.
Read.
And he divided the children unto Leah.
He did what?
Divided the children unto Leah.
So notice he's dividing his people, his children. Read.
And unto Rachel, and unto the 2 handmaids.
And unto what?
The 2 handmaids.
So he got Rachel's children in one part, he got Leah's children in one part, and the 2 handmaids part together. How many groups is it? 3. So this is why it's a division. But Jacob is doing it. Why? Not just fear. Why is he spreading them like this? He don't want them to. He don't want any of them to be dead. But why does he put Rachel's children all the way in the back? Because he what? Because he loved Rachel the most. So he's splitting them up off of his love for the wives. So he loves Rachel the most. So her children are the most important. Then it's Leah, next important. And then it's the handmaid's children. But Yah ain't doing it like that. His division is for what? For righteousness. But this is why they are divided into the 3 categories. Comes all the way back again to Jacob and what he was doing. Read that from the top again.
Verse 1. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah and unto Rachel and unto the 2 handmaids.
And unto what?
The 2 handmaids.
And unto the 2 handmaids. Read.
And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost.
Hindermost, what does that mean? They all the way in the back. So it's important. If any of them got to die, I would rather the handmaid's children die. Now, how would that make you feel? If you were, exactly. But he's doing it out of the ones that he loved the most. Remember, he wanted Rachel. Leah was the tender-eyed one. And then he get the handmaids off of them doing competition. Mm. Read that one more time. They distracted me.
Okay. Verse 1. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah.
He did what?
Divided the children unto Leah.
Read.
And unto Rachel, and unto the two handmaids.
And into the two handmaids. So now, again, I'm going to ask y'all again. How did Jacob get out of trouble back here? He humbled himself. But before he even got to Esau, what did he do before he got to Esau? He did what? No, it's even before that. We just got to go read it. Genesis 32:24.
Genesis 32 and verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaks. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me.
Unless thou what?
Thou bless me.
Read.
And he said unto him, what is your name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, your name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel.
But what?
But Israel.
Now, why did he change his name again? Now he has humbled himself. He is actually telling who he really is. His name means like swindler, deceiver, and all of this negative stuff. So right here, when he's doing this, he's admitting who he really is. This is the only thing that gets him out of trouble, right? He basically confesses who he really is. Get me Numbers 14, verse 1. How long we been going, Mark? Yeah, I'm going to stop after this one. My wife said I'm long-winded, and I got a whole bunch of stuff to get out, but she says, make it 45 minutes.
We said Numbers 2:14 and
Numbers 14 and verse 1.
Numbers. This is Numbers chapter 14 and verse 1.
I got a lot more meat, but the wife said this. I take too much time, and y'all don't really want to hear this. Y'all want to get home and watch what y'all want to watch. So I'm going to go ahead and stop.
And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, would Elohim that we had died in the land of Egypt?
That we had died where?
In the land of Egypt.
Now, why are these people crying right here? What are they going through? they hungry right here. But remember, it's a group that's going to be provided for, right? So there'll be another group that's not. And they're going to be whining and complaining. What you think going to happen to them? You're going to get purged out. Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 34. Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 34.
This is Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 34. And I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out.
With what poured out?
With fury poured out.
Read.
And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, And there will I plead with you face to face.
I'm going to do what?
Plead with you face to face.
Read.
Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt.
The same way that he did before. Everything is a play over. I pleaded with them and I'm going to plead with you. Read.
So will I plead with you, saith Yahuwah Elohim, and I will cause you to pass under the rod.
I will do what?
I will cause you to pass under the rod.
Read.
And I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. And I will purge out from among you the rebels.
I will do what?
Purge out from among you the rebels.
I will purge. So it's still going to be rebels in here. I will purge out from you among the rebels. Read.
And them that transgress against me. And I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn. And they shall not enter into the land of Israel.
And they shall what?
Not enter into the land of Israel.
It's a shame that you get called all the way out of your captivity, make it into the wilderness, and still don't get in. That makes no sense. You might as well stay where you was at and lived your life how you wanted to live it. But we see this is going to be a group that's going to make it all the way to the wilderness just like before and still end up dying. That's horrible. One verse, I hate this stuff. I got a lot more, but yeah. Revelation chapter 12, verse 7.
This is Revelation chapter 12 and verse 7. And there was war in heaven.
There was what?
War in heaven.
So when this war happened, all hell is soon to break loose, literally on earth. Read.
Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven.
Neither was what?
Their place found any more in heaven.
Neither was their place found any more in heaven. What does it mean, they place? That's what it means. They spot. What define the spot for me? What if it was something else? What if it's got a different meaning? Just a couple more minutes, y'all. I got to say this. I got to say that. I can't take it. So it says, neither was their place found any more in Shamaim. Give me Luke chapter 10, verse 18.
You say Luke 20.
Luke chapter 10, verse 18.
This is Luke chapter 10 and verse 18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions.
So we see that he is now the same thing that we're reading about over there. He is now cast out of heaven. Even though he's saying it over here, this is what he was talking about, what's happening in this chapter in Revelation chapter 12, verse 7 and 8. Read that verse one more time. Verse 18.
Verse 18. Luke 10 and verse 18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy.
So Satan now is on the earth. Isaiah 24, verse 21.
Isaiah chapter 24 and verse 21. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahuwah shall punish the host of the high ones.
The host of what?
The high ones.
Read.
That are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit.
So right here we have two groups. He says the host of heaven on high and the kings of the earth. The host of high, that's just talking about Satan and his demons that's being kicked out with him. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12.
This is Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against the spiritual wickedness in high places.
And where?
Against the spiritual wickedness in high places.
So what is the spiritual wickedness in high places? What is it talking about? It's these groups. Normally people think that this is talking about like the government down here and the Bilderbergs and the Rothschilds and these people, but it's actually talking about the heavenly places. This is what it's actually talking about. We're going to see it. What verse was you at right there, Art?
That was verse 12.
Verse 12. Give me Ephesians chapter 1, verse 3.
Ephesians chapter 1 and verse 3. Blessed be Elohim and the Father of our Master Yeshua HaMashiach, who hath blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places in Hamashiach.
And where?
In Hamashiach.
In heavenly places in Hamashiach. So when they get kicked out from the government, somebody got to be put into it. Jump down to verse 19.
Verse 19. And what is the exceeding greatness of his power to usward who believe, according to the working of his mighty power, which he wrought in Mashiach, when he raised him from the dead and set him at his own right hand in the heavenly places.
And where?
In the heavenly places.
So Mashiach is in the heavenly places. But we see that these people are kicked out and their place is no more. Read on.
For far above all principality and power and might and dominion and every name that is named, not only in this world, but also in that which is to come.
In what world?
In that which is to come.
In that which is to come. What verse you at?
Verse 22.
Read.
And hath put all things under his feet and gave him to be the head over all things to the church, which is his body, the fullness of him that fills all in all.
Now, what verse you at now?
I'm in chapter 2 now.
All right, we good. Give me John chapter 12, verse 34. John chapter 12, verse 34.
This is John chapter 12 and verse 34. The people answer him, we have heard out of the law that Mashiach abides forever. And how sayest thou, the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is the Son of Man? Then Yeshua said unto them, yet a little while is the light with you. Walk while ye have the light, lest darkness come upon you. For he that walks in darkness knoweth not whither he goeth.
Hold on a minute. There's something else. One moment. What chapter I got you in?
Chapter 12.
Give me John. Hold on. Give me John chapter 11. My bad. John chapter 11 and verse 47.
John chapter 11 and verse 47. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees.
So remember it says, and neither was their place found any more in Shamaim. Read.
Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man doth many miracles. And if we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation.
So when they says that the Romans are going to come and take away our place, what do they mean right there? What type of position? A government position. So Satan and them right here is losing a government spot in heaven. It's not just a place, but it's a position that they had. So they are getting kicked out and another group is going in. So what happens when you and a whole group get fired from a job at once? What do the people normally try to do? They organize a strike or something, and they says, anybody that crossed this line and try to get this job, we gonna get you. So what do you think they feel about this new group that's going up in heaven and taking their position? They don't like it. But we can't do nothing to them because they in heaven. It says, rejoice, you heavens, but woe to the inhabitants of the earth. So since we can't get Yah and them, we're going to get you. And they're going to come after you with everything that they got. I got a lot more, but we'll stop right here. So,
Hallelujah.
Any questions? Is their position exactly? So everybody will go to the joint and says, when Mashiach says, I go and prepare a place for you. What does everybody think that mean when he says, I go and prepare a place for you? Is that it do mean that, but they said when he says, I go and I prepare a place for you, and where I am, there will I go. In my Father's house is many mansions. What does that mean? Everybody take the verse's meaning that Mashiach, when he left, he went and started working on the mansions and building. How long did it take him to make the earth?
7 days.
7 days. So why would it take him 2,000 years to build a mansion? It don't. He's saying, I'm going to prepare a place for you, government position. These same people that is talking about going to rule with a rod of iron. That's what he's talking about. I'm getting ready. So when I remove them out, I'm going to put you in. So remember, he's talking about having the more righteous you are, him I will give 5 cities, and him I will give 10 cities. This is what it's talking about. So the place is their authority and they position, not necessarily the spot that they got. So any questions on that chat? And believe me, y'all, it gets gooder. It gets gooder. Yes. Absolutely. That's the group. Yep. So they are angry and they trying to do everything that they can do to prevent. They try to prevent the 144,000 from ever coming into fruition. As soon as these people come out, he try to kill them. But Yah catches them up. Then the other group, Yah protects them in the wilderness. But then it's that third group that they're gonna have free reign over. And you're gonna have to scrounge. I wouldn't want to be one of these people. This time he doing it in physical form. That's the difference. Now he doing it through people. He's getting wicked people to do stuff through it. So the lesson that I done maybe like a month ago, it shows that it was talking about in Psalms 82, the government, it was these other wicked fallen angels that was over this. Each one, like Greece, had their own one. So they've been doing it through that. But now it's different because they physically in physical form on the earth. So it's different, and he trying to do it through trickery. Then it ain't gonna be no more trickery. It's straightforward. I'm trying to kill y'all. If you don't take my mark, I'm gonna kill you. And they're gonna hunt you down. Go back and read when Elijah was on the run. They said, no kingdom have we not sent out people to find you and to destroy you. In Acts chapter 8, it says that Paul and them, when he was under that wicked mind frame, they went door to door searching for any believers. It's going to be the same way. Yeah, it's going to be the same way, but worse. Acts chapter 8, when this was before Paul was Paul. This when he was under the Pharisaical type of mind frame. They were trying to kill everybody that was a believer. And it says they went house to house or door to door seeking whom they can kill. But again, it gets gooder and gooder and gooder.
All right, so we do got a question online. Aki Otis said, has anyone from the 144,000 been born yet? Or is Yah choosing from all generations?
They definitely not from all generations. It's an end time thing. So nobody knows if they been born yet because it comes about when this stuff starts.
He's cooking today, my brother. Hallelujah. Let's see. I don't see any more questions.
Okay.
Man. Hallelujah.
Nothing in here? Going once?
Lana got a question.
I'm just talking about as far as this lesson go. Twice, 3 times sold. All right. Nate, you got some announcements? Okay. Praise y'all. That's all right, Nate. Announcements.
Real quick, Mello, I got a question. So where can we find just real quick the third group that's got a fend for themselves? Where can we read about them at?
We just read about them. Go back, Revelation chapter 12. Pick it up at verse 13 again.
This is Revelation chapter 12 and verse 13.
My bad, Nate. He got a question right quick. Go
And
ahead.
when the dragon saw that he was cast out into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child.
So now he's after the woman. Remember, the man child is already caught up. This group right here is the second group. Read.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle.
So this woman right here that gave birth to the man child is being taken into the wilderness. Read.
given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent.
From what?
From the face of the serpent.
So the serpent can't get this group. The other group is caught up. This group right here is taken into the wilderness, into the safe place. He can't get them. Read.
And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman.
So he's trying to get the woman, but he's not going to be successful. Read.
That he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman.
He was wroth with who?
The woman.
So he's mad at the woman. Read.
And went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
Now he's making war with who?
The remnant of her seed.
Now this is the remnant. He's going to make war with them. So they not caught up in the heaven like the first group, and they not in this safe place like this group. This group is out on their own. They by themselves. They got to fend for themselves. The book of Daniel talks about it more. All right, you good? All right.
All right. Announcements. Remember again, Sukkot is coming up. It's October 17th to the 24th, but we'll be the 16th to the 25th. Remember that the cost is $230 per adult over 18. Remember also that if you have 2 people that pay together, there's a discount, and it's only $400. Any 2 adults. You don't have to be still staying in the same tent or married or anything like that. Just 2 adults can pay up to for $400 if you pay at the same time. The deadline is approaching pretty soon, so we need to go ahead and get our monies in, please, so we can do what we need to do. Remember to pray for the widows, the fatherless children, those who are sick and shut in, those who are not with us anymore by way of leaving the truth or the faith. Pray for the willing laborers and the cheerful givers, and those who are lonely or discouraged. We have on September 7th, the intimate night of worship is going to be at 7:30. That is right after Shabbat, pretty much. It'll be at 5505 Michigan Avenue in Detroit. So come join us there. Again, it's September 7th at 7:30 p.m. Again, the address is 5505 Michigan Avenue in Detroit, the intimate night of worship. We have an immersion tomorrow for all who want to come through, who did not get a chance to get immersed today. We have another one at 10 o'clock, same spot, at Belle Isle. Let me see. Remember, we are doing pretty well, pretty good with our paying off our debts. So we appreciate your support. We ask that you continue to dig a little deeper for a little while longer, and we'll be caught up pretty soon by the beginning of the what they call the new year. We will pretty much be pretty good in a good spot. So we appreciate you giving and continue to give. And that pretty much is it, I think. Also, remember, if you're able to gather wood, if you can, we're going to need a lot of firewood. So, if you see something posted in some groups or online or wherever you might see it, if you're able to pick it up, please pick it up so that we can have wood. 'Cause we're gonna need it. I believe, it's probably gonna be a little bit colder this year, probably like it was for the last 2 days that we had last year. So, um, prepare your some thermals, some long johns, some blankets. Get your propane tanks if you got a heater. Canvas tent, if you have a canvas tent, you can get that. That will help, or make sure that it's at least all weather. That will make a big difference. And yeah, and that's pretty much it, I believe.
Hey Mello, somebody snuck in a question. Can we ask it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the question is, when Satan when Satan on the earth, is the anti-Mashiach also reigning with him at the same time in Assyria?
Say that again.
When Satan is on the earth, is the anti-Mashiach also reigning with him at the same time in Assyria?
He's doing the same thing as Mashiach does for Yah. So you won't see him, you'll see his representation the same exact way that Mashiach does everything for Yah. He is his image. So he will still be behind the scenes doing what he's doing, but he has his two people out front, which we'll get into more in Revelation chapter 13 when we get there in the 4 months.
All right, that's it.
All right. Uh-oh.
That's not-
All right.
We're gonna pray. We're gonna pray. We're gonna pray.
All right. So I hope you have enjoyed and learned substantially from this particular lesson brought by my dear elder, one of my dear elders, Aqua uh, Carmelo. However you choose to pronounce his name. I am your Akazaki Yahoo. Uh, this is an important lesson. The reason this is such an important lesson is because we have to get a resolution on our pride. And if we don't deal with pride, the Most High will deal with us. I hope, I sincerely hope that you understood that, and that's what you took away from this video. You have to deal with your pride. And if you do not deal with your pride, the Most High will deal with you. That is the lesson we must learn. All right. Praises to the Father for another opportunity to learn a lesson. For the Most High using a brother to bring forth information to share with the nation on how we need to fix ourselves. All right. That is all I have. This video speaks for itself. I'm going to close out with the book of Ecclesiastes, as we always do. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter number 12 and verse number 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, because this is the entire duty of man. It is so very important that we understand that we are to fear the Most High and keep his commandments, because this is the whole duty of man. When judgment comes, we will be judged on whether we have feared the Most High and kept his commandments, because this is the entire reason that we are here. I am your Akazaki Yahoo, giving all praises, honor, and great esteem unto the Most High Power, Yahuwah Bahashem, Yahushua HaMashiach, and to the 12 tribes of Israel who are scattered to the four quarters of the earth. I say, Shalom wa Baruch. That is peace and blessings. And I cannot wait to the day that the Most High brings us back together and we are once again 12 tribes, one family, one nation under the Most High Power, under one covenant, back in our own land. Get this, with a heart of flesh and no more a heart of stone. That's brotherly love, my people. That is brotherly love, loving one another, truthfully, and not with lip service. Because here's the thing, you can't hide your heart from the Most High. He knows you. He made you. So get it right. Until that time comes, shalom, family. Peace and blessings.